What's up, my family? Michael here with another video from Find Your Light, and I hope this message reaches those of you that are in seeking and in looking for this type of information. So what I want to share with you today is how to move on from the past, or how to move on from a particular mindset that you might be in, or an issue in your life that you are trying to get through, and you may feel like nothing is working, and some of the avenues that you've gone down may not be reaping the fruit that you are seeking. And I would like to start this off by saying, when I talk about moving on from the past, I understand that there are some people walking the planet that have been through some serious suffering, and they have been through some deep lessons in their life. And when I say just move on from the past, I am saying it with great sincerity and great meaning, and with the intention of understanding that I know that there has been some people that have been through some things that I cannot even truly fathom getting over in this lifetime. But with that being said, I still say that some of the things that I will say will help anyone that is looking to get through anything, because the severity or the depth of what you're trying to get out of will only mimic how deep you have to go in particular things, or the length of time. And it may even gauge the level of seeking that you are engaged in. So what I'm trying to say is, when we are stuck in the past, even though we're living in the present time frame that we're in, but something happened to you in childhood, or 10, 15 years ago, or even a relationship that you quite can't get over, or something happened, or even something more on the physical side, that you're trying to lose weight or becoming healthy, or you're depressed and anxious. Now, I've made some other videos about what all these particular things mean. And those other videos are more along the lines of that when we understand and we are informed about what something is, then we can truly move in the right direction to change it. But these labels that we put on anything, they do us no good. But I want to focus on moving forward. It's a new age. It's a new time. It is time to move forward. Because if we get hung up on who we think we are, if we define ourselves from what we've been through in the past, the moving forward will never happen. There's something happening right now in our lifetime, and it is a blessing to be a part of, so we must engage the future. I know I talk about how sometimes the past and the future, it's all happening right now, which is true, but our minds have to kind of perceive what we're in sometimes. So sometimes we still need to use words like past, present, future, time, things like that, just to try to convey to you what I'm trying to speak about. So moving forward, not necessarily in time, but moving forward vibrationally. That's a good way to say it. So let's stick with that. It's time to move forward vibrationally. We want to go up, right? Because the issues in our life and the problems that we're facing, they kind of never go away. They're always going to be there. But when we vibrate to a higher plane within ourselves, it's almost like we look down on them anymore. Sometimes the processes that sometimes the people choose to take down on their path is like they're trying to run away from it. They're trying to move forward in a way, like away from it, and it's always going to be there. But if we move above it and we look down on it, we have a whole new perspective of it. And when we're not on the same vibrational plane as when the particular situation happened, it's going to have a whole new dimensional feel to it. It's almost like you're going to be able to look at it and it won't affect you with the negative emotions that it carries. So when we think of something in the past and it keeps bringing up those negative emotions are going to keep on plaguing us and making us ill and imprinting on us, just as if they happened 10 years ago or 5 years ago. So what I'm getting to here is, it is time for each and every one of us to develop a lifestyle, a new holistic, healthy lifestyle filled with love and beauty. These are the things that are going to transcend the issues. Instead of having to work through them so much, you're just going to like vibrate above them. And you're going to be like, yeah, they're down there, but they don't affect me anymore. And then you're going to feel yourself kind of float back down to that level sometimes when you slip a little bit, and you're going to feel them again. And it's going to be like, well, time to go back up again. So what I'm trying to say is, it's time. It's time to change. The old way just wasn't working. All the old things. There's so many things out there. The diets, the obsessing over the gym, the obsessing over all these different things in the physical world. They're not doing it for us, my friends and family. They're just not. We need to complete the circle. Yes, we need to be physically and fit. We need to have physicality in our life. Yes, we need to focus on our diet 100% and eat high vibrational foods, but we must connect with ourselves. We must create a discipline in our life that is going to bring us a new self. It's not just going to happen if you just do it for 2 or 3 weeks or here or there. Consistency. Creating a daily regimen that without any reason, nothing that comes up in your life, oh, I'm sick and I don't feel like it, or I'm tired, or whatever it may be, we do it. Not because we feel like it, but because we know that that is good for us. So many times in my journey, I did not feel like doing the things I was doing. In fact, the last things in my mind I wanted to do was 99% of my life. But for some reason, that 1%, and that's my soul percent. That was like my soul. That 1% that wanted to do those things is what prevailed. And I am very blessed to allow that 1% to have run my life. Because if I would have let the 99% that wanted to do none of the things that I have done the past years in my life to get to where I'm at, speaking to you right now, I still would have been at the bottom of the bottle, lost in relationships, lost in my own suffering, letting the ego self-destruct me into another, just more lower dimensional self, and I would keep plaguing myself and self-destructing over and over and over again. And I would have been lost in this matrix like 99% of the people out there. So it's time, and as you can see, we're breaking away from that. But the only thing that pulls us through is that 1%. We must, whether we write it down on a piece of paper and we look at it every single day, find the fortitude within yourself. If you're busy, if you're working a lot, if we have a lot on our plate, that's fine. If you decide it's time to change, you are putting the intention out in the universe. And if you say to yourself, it's time to change, and you pick one thing that you know, because we all know, look inside yourself and ask yourself, what do I have to stop doing? What should I start doing? Pick one thing and do it every day. Do it consistently. Make it happen. Because that 1% is the only thing that is going to pull us through life. 99% of it is going to pull us the other way. And it's time to start changing the way that we eat. It's time to start changing the way that we think. And it's time to start changing the way that we perceive life. Because the perceptions that have been imprinted on us since birth do not serve us. But the perception will change, and everything will change in here when we start to do the things that we know that we need to do. I'm going to make some videos on 3 to 5 things that I recommend that everyone does, that truly were like the foundations of my climb. I call it, I'll just call it, I've ascended. You know, it's like an ascension process in the process from where I was before. You know, and I have people that I look up to that are like way above me in this process. And I look at some people and I see what they do, and I try to take notes now and learn from their lessons, which is why these videos are coming out. Because if we learn from other people, we can really, really make leaps and bounds in our process to our higher self. So on my climb, there was like a foundation that I made in my life. And no matter what, that 1% prevailed for me. And that 1% is what pulled me through to keep that foundation. And once I had a concrete foundation, then I started adding things that I would study. I read and I watch very particular things, and I think a lot. And I let things come through. I allow the understanding to come through. Because as you climb in awareness and you climb in the ascension process, and we start to leave the old paradigm behind, new information's waiting for you to find it, but it's almost like the new information and new understanding, it's like up here. But we look at goggles down here, we have to start expanding. The earth is we're always gonna be able to look down. But we have to rise up to be able to see everything. And it's very important. The videos that I make on food, the reason that I make the videos on food is because our food is what houses our temple. The juices, the smoothies, the light, nutritionally dense foods that are not a burden on our digestive system allows our energy to rise. So we don't have to spend all the energy down here digesting food all day. We rise into a high vibrational being because we start living in our upper energy systems. And there's a lot of words that we can put in here. I'm trying to not put anything into a box. So no matter who you are and what you believe and what you think is real, I try to speak in a way that everyone can listen, because nothing is in a box. So no matter who you are and where you come from, take this as an encouragement to reach into the realms of yourself and move on from the past. Because we all know, I know that there are things that when we wake up in the morning every single day that we want to do because they're good for us, and then we end up not doing them. Be easy on yourself. Do not judge yourself. Become aware of yourself and reach out. Start with your feet on the floor, close your eyes, open yourself up to the unknown. You don't even have to really say too much. It's just a feeling and an intention of how much we don't know and how much you would like to evolve, and do it from grace and from love, and things will change for you. Things will start to change. So if you go through a day and you're like, I didn't do it that day. Ah, man, I wanted to do it so bad. That's okay. But the intention is everything. The intention is what creates the strings that are going to move things in your life. And also the awareness that we grow from seeking, the awareness also responds to the intention as well. So the awareness is almost like fuel for the intention. Because as my awareness grows, my intention grows even greater, because it's like the bottom end, it's like it meets halfway. The awareness is the fuel to move the intention, is a good way to look at it. So keep seeking. Keep seeking what's out there. Keep finding something that's good for you. Be good to your body. Be good to your mind. Watch what you put inside of these two things, the doorways to our soul. Be careful what we put in here. In fact, I recommend going like 6 months with no TV, no music. Because yourself, there's so much music going on in here from your own self. You need to learn to listen to that. So to move on from the past, to nail everything that I just said home, is to not consider anything from the same level of consciousness that created it. nothing. If there's any situation in your life, anything that you want to get over, if you've had a family member pass away, a broken relationship, something you can't lose, you just can't lose the weight, you just can't get over this weird sickness that you have. There's so many issues in our life that we can't shed, right? We need to change consciousness. We can't think about it from the same level of perception of reality that created it. I believe that a good definition for insanity that I've heard is keep doing the same thing and expecting it to change. It's kind of the same thing when we're dealing with ourselves. We can go to a therapist all day long and we keep blah, 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 right? But and sometimes this therapist can pull things out of you, you'll say something and then like the light bulb turns on, which that can happen. But the fastest way, it's like a fast track, is changing your consciousness, changing your perception on reality. And never stop. Keep going, my family. Keep going. Even if you get to a spot where you're comfortable and you're good and everything's going well, let me tell you what, keep going. So keep going, my family. Keep pushing yourself to being the best version of yourself you can possibly be in this lifetime. It's going to go by quicker than we ever thought. Make the most out of it. The best loving version of you is the best loving version for everyone on this planet. Take care of my family. Keep being well. Keep shedding blessings to everyone that you meet. I shed blessings to you. Peace out and take care of the world. But first, take care of yourself.